Ladies and gentlemen, it is another Manic Monday. Hey, I'm your host, Matt Morgan, and you are listening to Soapbox Daily, episode 164. Thank you very much for tuning in today for the beginning of another week. How was your weekend? Was it a great weekend? How was your integrity this weekend? Were you doing the right thing? Were you being a positive change? Were you doing what you could to make this world a better place? Was it a good weekend? If not, hey, it's a new week. You can start again to be the better you, the more evolved you, doing the right thing when no one else is watching. Hey, let's get into this today. I hope your weekend was well, and welcome to a Monday. It's been a crazy Monday for me. I don't know how it has been for you, but we're going to get into today's episode of Soapbox Daily, episode 164. And today we are talking about, and the topic is time for a revolution. Yes. And I think John Lennon said it best in verse 1 of the song. You say you want a revolution. Well, you know, we all want to change the world. You tell me that it's evolution. Well, you know, we all want to change the world. But when you talk about destruction, don't you know that you can count me out? That's the way I feel on that one. It's true. I think it's time for a revolution. And this is kind of off the cuff again. I've been doing this a lot lately because it's not really something you can research into. I think we've all heard about a revolution. There's been tons of revolutions over history, tons of revolutions over time. And I'm not talking about destructive revolution or anything like that. Revolution, there's a need for revolution. And yeah, I strongly believe there's definitely a need for revolution. But I'm not talking about self-serving revolution. That's the problem. It can't be self-serving revolution. Because people start talking about revolution, they seem to be in these little, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Certain groups. Basically, how do I explain this? It's people, it has to be all encompassing. It can't just be serving a certain situation or a certain following or certain belief or a certain race or creed or whatever you want to call it. It has to be all encompassing a revolution that serves everybody. Namely, how can I say this? I think the biggest thing what we're dealing with right now is social status. I mean, it really is. Yes, demographic. That's the word I was looking for. Not catering to a certain demographic. What it is a lot of change that has to happen in this world. There's the ones that actually do the work, and then of course the ones that sit on their fluffy butts and sit at the top with all the money and all the ownership and everything else. And that's the social inequality is not right. And don't put this into a nice little compartment of black and white or different, cultures and creeds and all that. So don't do that. Don't do that. Okay. Don't talk about sexuality and identification and all that stuff. I don't want to hear about that. Believe it or not, it's kind of self-serving. It's kind of us versus them type BS. We don't need that. What we need is a revolution that encompasses providing for and well-being for everybody, not just the upper class, the rich 1%ers, and then of course everybody below them is like peasants. This has been a story that's been older than time. It's been going on for thousands of years, and I'm sorry, but the only way that we're going to evolve in this existence, in this world, this planet, is if we start narrowing that gap. If we start narrowing that gap and spread out the wealth and spread out providing for everybody. Honestly. So yeah, revolution? Yeah, there should be a revolution. The rich should have to cough up their equal share, and we should balance out the lines a little here. There's no need for the 1% to have all that. And there's no need for people to be homeless. There's no need for everybody to be killing themselves 60 hours a week, working a job and not having a life. There's no need for this. Because I will tell you, there's people out there that got money that have no IQs, but for some reason, they own a certain part of land, and somebody came along and offered them lots of money for some resources on that land, just to give you an example. And that's the thing that bugs me, because there are those that worked really hard to get where they are in life and what they have, and they're still struggling. And then of course there's the others that took the easy route and scammed and schemed or whatever. Not saying that everybody that's rich scammed and schemed to get to where they are, but technically it's been shown a good portion of them are cutthroats. But that's not what I'm going to get into today. Bottom line is there's time for a revolution, and I think the revolution's coming soon. There's a lot of inequalities and injustices, whether it's between the people and the governments or whether or not it's between the rich and the poor. But something's got to be done across the board, across the planet, in order to equal stuff out. Because let's be honest, the haves, the ones that are up there, have a tendency to take more than their fair share, which they don't care about the outcome in the long run, whereas the working class do worry about stuff like the environment, the state of the planet, and more factors that matter than just beyond themselves. So time for a revolution is something to keep into consideration. There's no need for inequality. There's no need for, this imbalance. We should all collectively be able to work together on this planet. And I know some people would say that's a dream, but I think it could become a reality. And who's to say that the 1% can have a revolution to realize that they realize how privileged they are and be a little more giving towards the rest of us that do not have. It can go both ways. Food for thought, folks. I just want to put that out there. And let's just say, like John Lennon says, if you want to talk about destruction, you can count me out. I don't want wars and destructions and looting and all that BS that I've seen in the past. That's not a revolution. That's a tantrum. That's an unorganized tantrum. And those people do not belong, in good light when it comes to that. That's not a revolution. A revolution is actually doing something strategically in order to actually set the balance straight. So think about that. Not about destruction, more about let's sit down and talk, figure out a way to balance the lines out. I know we'll continue the topic a little later into another show, but I wanted to throw that out for a Monday. I know a little heavy, but enjoy about it, talk about it for the week. See what you come up with. By all means, feel free to send me an email or a DM, and you can check out all that information on themadmorgan.com. Yes, themadmorgan.com, which is our central hub for all our podcaster shows and projects and everything else now and going into the future. Themadmorgan.com. My contact information is on there, and all my links to my socials. Check it out. I'm your host, Mad Morgan. Have a terrific Monday. Keep your integrity in check, and I will see you next episode.